This is NNC, Neural Newscast, online at nnewscast.com.
Welcome to Neural Newscast Deep Dive. I'm Christopher, your legal reporter. With me is Lucas, your entertainment correspondent. Today, we're unpacking a landmark trial, a Nobel trailblazer's birthday, and a bite-sized fact. On this day in 1945, the Nuremberg Trials opened in Germany, prosecuting top Nazi officials for war crimes and crimes against humanity after World War II. They set a new precedent for international justice and accountability.
That's such a pivotal moment. The idea of an international court trying top officials not just for battlefield conduct, but for crimes against humanity, really changed how the world thought about responsibility, didn't it?
Absolutely. The point was not vengeance, but the rule of law. Charges, evidence, arguments, and a public record that made the process transparent and principled.
And from an industry eye view, that record reshaped how film and media portray the era. Once you have a judicial narrative, storytelling gains structure and clarity.
Those courtroom transcripts and legal opinions became source material for historians and later tribunals, a backbone others could reference for accuracy and procedure.
There's also an emotional weight to seeing top officials answer in court. It made the idea of justice visible for audiences still processing the aftermath of the war.
That visibility signaled to the international community that certain acts cross a line, and it helped chart how future atrocities might be investigated and prosecuted.
Which is why it still resonates in public consciousness and entertainment. It marks a shift in how societies reckon with monstrous acts and those who ordered them.
The legacy is a blend of rigorous procedure and moral clarity, a model for holding leaders accountable beyond national borders under emerging international norms.
And that precedent rippled through decades of coverage and creative work, giving storytellers and journalists a concrete framework to examine power and culpability.
It also underscored the role of legal institutions in confronting abuses. Nuremberg remains a touchstone for accountability in both law and public memory.
One courtroom moment with ripples across culture, ethics, and media. That's why it endures.
We'll be right back. When we return, birthdays, including a Nobel trailblazer. Today we celebrate the birthdays of Selma Lagerlöf, 1858, Robert F. Kennedy, 1925, and Edwin Hubble, 1889.
Selma Lagerlöf jumps out. She's the one we're taking a deeper look at today, right?
Right. Selma Lagerlöf, the groundbreaking Swedish author who became the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1909. From a legal correspondent's perspective, I'm interested in how her writing carries moral and social force, not just storytelling.
I love that angle. Her narratives enchant, but they also wield cultural authority, like a persuasive case made to the public, not a jury. The Wonderful Adventures of Nils is her best-known work, and she threads folklore with social commentary in a clever way.
Exactly. She uses folklore and regional detail to surface broader questions, local stories that illuminate universal themes. That clarity helps her work resonate far beyond Sweden.
There's something almost cinematic about her landscapes and characters, too. You can see why her work stayed culturally relevant. And those feminist threads you mentioned are subtle but present, right?
Subtle, yes, but significant. Being the first woman Nobel laureate in literature wasn't just symbolic. It affirmed women's intellectual contributions when recognition was scarce, shifting perceptions in institutions and culture.
That shift matters in entertainment and publishing. It opens doors. I'm also struck by how her stories blend the ordinary with the mystical. It gives them cross-generational appeal. Kids read Nils, adults find deeper layers.
That layering is crucial. Her narratives operate on multiple levels. A charming children's tale on the surface, deeper explorations of identity, community, and moral choice beneath, which makes her work ripe for study and adaptation.
And because that folklore-infused architecture invites retelling, her stories translate well to other media. That's a hallmark of a lasting creator.
Historically, her influence helped shape how Swedish literature was perceived globally. Celebrating her birthday invites us to reconsider how literature can nudge social attitudes, not just aesthetic tastes.
Exactly, and it's worth reminding listeners that her work sits at the crossroads of feminist themes and Swedish folklore. So her legacy is cultural, political, and literary all at once.
A compact legacy with a big footprint. Pioneering as a woman in literature, expanding narrative scope with folklore and moral inquiry, and earning a Nobel that broadened acceptance.
Her stories still speak to readers, and that Nobel milestone keeps her central to conversations about gender and literary history.
A timely tribute to Selma Lagerlöf. and a good reminder of how art shapes the world we live in. Stay with us. Up next, our fact of the day.
You are listening to NNC, Neural Newscast. Subscribe and listen wherever you choose, and be sure to listen to our archive for more content like this episode, published daily at nnewscast.com.
Welcome back to Neural Newscast, a deep dive. Let's wrap with our fact of the day. Here's a vivid stat. Roughly 400 quarter-pounders can be made from one cow.
Wait, 400 quarter-pounders from a single cow? 400 burgers at 4 ounces each?
That's the ballpark. Think patties, not steaks. Yields vary, but the ratio is a useful shorthand.
That's a striking number. It puts meat yield in sharp, almost cinematic terms.
Framed that way, the scale becomes tangible and makes discussions about production and supply more concrete.
For entertainment conversations, it's a vivid image. One animal turning into hundreds of staple menu items.
And for legal or regulatory conversations, that simple ratio can inform policy debates on labeling, sourcing, and traceability.
It also reframes how you picture a supply chain. Hundreds of familiar sandwiches emerging from a single source.
Exactly. Linking an individual animal to quantifiable consumer output can be compelling in courtroom illustrations or policy briefs.
It's the kind of detail that sticks in listeners' minds, concise, visual, and surprisingly informative.
Whether you approach it analytically or narratively, it's a clean anchor for conversations about food systems and scale.
Short, punchy, and oddly memorable. Perfect for both headlines and a lively segment like this. Thanks for tuning into our deep dive. I'm Lucas, and from Christopher and the Neural Newscast team, we'll see you next time.
From deep dives to daily news, Neural Newscast has you covered. Explore more at nnewscast.com. At Neural Newscast, we mix real voices with AI-generated ones to bring you fast, high-quality news. Every story is created with AI but reviewed by humans to keep things accurate and fair. While we do our best to prevent mistakes, AI isn't perfect, so double-check key facts with trusted sources. Want to know more about our AI process? Head to nnewscast.com.